Good afternoon. My name is Abanoub Aziz Rizk, and I'm a second year medical student.
And my name is Marina Saad. I'm a first year medical student.
And we're here to present to you our poster entitled Hooked on Learning, Evidence-Based Learning Principles Through an Incentive-Based Variable Ratio Schedule. So lots is loaded in that title, so let's get right into it.
First, we're just going to talk about evidence-based learning strategies. These are ones that have really been proven to work over time. The first one is active recall, which just says that free recall, so short answer questions, are better for recall as opposed to recognition, so multiple choice strategies. The second is spaced repetition, and that just says that difficult concepts, stuff that students still don't know as well, should be brought up more times than ones that are easier, ones that are mastered. And the third is incentivization, and that just states that students that are rewarded for their learning strategies are more likely to keep doing it and more likely to remember more. And we can see from the chart here that the most effective strategy is the variable ratio, which reinforces students after an unpredicted number of attempts.
Now, while many regard the current medical education system as one that's very high quality, one can't also ignore the fact that there are some flaws. There are some of them are listed here. For example, the overwhelming volume that students are required to learn, decreased mental health that comes with that new transition, suboptimal learning strategies, for example, having expert professors coming in and giving talks, but not really knowing how much the students know and don't know, as well as implementation barriers that come with trying to ensure that students get the best quality of education they deserve. And lastly, the lack of incentive, so students engaging in these evidence-based approaches that are very time-consuming are not really given any direct reward, and because of that may not want to continue using them. Now, what are we really proposing here? So we want to provide the students with this incentive-based approach. We want to reward them, and we know that medical students love their grades, so we decided to use that as one way to motivate them. So we also wanted this to be an optional activity because we don't want to force anyone to do anything.
So our implementation is going to be based on a program that already exists. It's called Enki, and it presents students with a question in flashcard format, and the student will try to answer it, and then they'll hit whether they got it correct or incorrect. And if they got it incorrect, they'll rank their level of, if they got it correct, their level of discomfort with it. So that'll determine how often the question comes up again. So this program is really good because it makes use of the learning strategies, active recall, and spaced repetition. The only thing it's really missing is incentivization for students to either start doing it or to keep doing it.
And that's where we come in. So we have put together an add-on to be added to this program that basically keeps track of the daily number of cards completed by the students. Now, each faculty will set a minimum number of cards that they want their students to complete. And at the end of every successful day, the program or the add-on will just give the students a reward that uses a variable ratio reinforcement system. One day they get 2.5% of their final grade, the other day they get 0.1%. And we decided to name this R server, standing for Active Recall Spaced Repetition Variable Ratio.
So there are lots of benefits associated with this. The first one is that it's based on evidence-based learning strategies. So these are strategies that we know have worked, and they've worked time and time again in the past. The second is the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. So again, we know that this is effective, and this will encourage students to keep doing it and to remember more than other types of learning strategies.
Now, other benefits include alleviation of stress by setting a clear beginning and end to the study day. Once you're done your cards, you're done for the day. Freedom of choice, as we said before, it's optional. You don't have to do it if you don't like it. Supplementary aid, because we want this to supplement the current way that medical schools are doing things. We don't want to replace anything. And in addition, lastly, we want this to be a tool to allow faculties to track the progress of students, to ensure that they're doing well, they're keeping up with their work.
So we'll finish off by talking about some limitations. The first one is that there's nothing to stop students from guessing or randomly selecting answers so that they can get that incentivization. And the second and third is that transitioning to a new learning method may be challenging, and we don't know the preferred learning strategies by students.
So we would just like to conclude by just thanking University of Ottawa and everyone who took part in putting together today's conference.